There is something unsettling about the way some people seem to move through the world. It's not just the absence of empathy or the calculated coldness in their words, but the way they can manipulate, control, and bend others to their will without the slightest trace of guilt. They seem to read the minds of those around them, detect their weaknesses, and turn them into invisible strings they pull at their convenience. They are masters of deception, architects of their own convenience, strategists on a board where the pieces are real people. Psychology has studied these behaviors under the name of the Dark Triad, a lethal combination of 3 personality traits that, when intertwined, form the purest essence of manipulation: narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. 3 sides of the same coin, 3 ways of seeing the world without the filter of morality, where the vulnerability of others is a tool and guilt has no place. The term narcissism comes from Greek mythology and refers to Narcissus, a young man of great beauty who, according to legend, fell in love with his own reflection in the water and ultimately perished due to his inability to turn away from his image. In modern psychology, narcissism is understood as a personality trait characterized by excessive self-importance, a constant need for admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. In its most extreme form, it leads to narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, where these traits become inflexible and create significant difficulties in interpersonal relationships. From a clinical perspective, narcissism manifests through behaviors such as grandiosity, exploiting others for personal gain, and hypersensitivity to criticism. Socially, it may be perceived as excessive confidence, but deep down, it is often driven by fragile self-esteem that depends on external validation. Within the Dark Triad, narcissism merges with psychopathy and Machiavellianism to form a manipulative personality devoid of scruples. In this case, the need for admiration is not only intense but also intertwined with a lack of remorse and a tendency to use others as mere tools for personal benefit. Narcissistic manipulation is subtle. It is not always aggressive or obvious. It can be disguised as flattery, false vulnerability, or a magnetic charm that captivates. At first, they may make you feel special, unique, as if you are the most important person in their world. But over time, the dynamic changes. They use others as mirrors to reflect their own greatness, absorbing admiration and recognition as if it were their only source of energy. They create a bond that seems unbreakable, but in reality, it is only functional. It lasts as long as you continue to provide the validation they crave. When that mirror stops reflecting what they desire, they discard it. No guilt, no remorse, and the most painful part, they do it as if you never meant anything. If narcissism craves validation, psychopathy craves nothing. There is no guilt, no remorse, no emotional bond holding them back. The coldness of a psychopathic mind is its most chilling trait. They can say whatever is necessary, do whatever it takes, without their heart ever flinching. They feel no anxiety about the consequences of their actions. They feel no attachment to people. Everything is a game of strategy, where the only goal is their own benefit. They can say whatever is necessary, do whatever it takes, without their heart ever flinching. They feel no anxiety about the consequences of their actions. They feel no attachment to people. Everything is a game of strategy, where the only goal is their own benefit. Machiavellianism is the ability to manipulate with absolute coldness. They are calculating, meticulous, patient. They do not seek validation like narcissists, nor do they enjoy chaos like psychopaths. To them, life is a chessboard, and every interaction is a calculated move designed to place them in the position they desire. They do not act on impulse, but on convenience. Every word spoken, every silence held, every relationship maintained has a purpose. And when that purpose is fulfilled, the relationship loses its value without remorse, without looking back. They hide behind a mask of pragmatism and logic, disguising their true intentions with rational and strategic discourse. At work, they may appear to be helpful colleagues as long as you are useful to them, but if you ever stop fitting into their plan, you will disappear without warning. In a relationship, they may feign commitment and devotion, but their words of love are, at their core, mere moves designed to maintain control. They know exactly what to say and when to say it to get what they want. They use truth and lies with the same ease, blending them until it becomes impossible to tell one from the other. Their talent is not in direct confrontation but in subtle manipulation, in the silent persuasion that makes others act according to their will without even realizing it. The deceiver will always find someone willing to be deceived, said Machiavelli, and it is precisely in this dynamic that they find their strength. When these three traits combine, they create a personality that can be as charismatic as it is destructive. These individuals can be powerful leaders, charming seducers, loyal friends, until they are not. Their ability to manipulate is so refined that they are rarely detected until the damage is already done. They are experts at disguising themselves, at changing skins depending on the situation. One moment, they may be the supportive colleague who always has your back, the passionate lover who seems to know you perfectly, or the unconditional friend who is always there. But behind that facade lies a hidden agenda, ensuring that you continue to serve their interests. And when you are no longer useful, when you question their behavior, or when you try to distance yourself, the mask falls. What remains is the coldness of someone who was never really there for you, only for what they could gain from you. Perhaps you have crossed paths with someone like this. At first, everything seemed normal, even special. Their words were sweet, their gestures carefully kind. But over time, you noticed how your opinions lost weight, how your voice gradually faded. Every disagreement turned into a psychological war where, no matter what you said, you always ended up feeling guilty. Apologies were mere formalities, with no real intention of change, and promises, skillful hooks cast to keep you trapped in a cycle that seemed impossible to escape. And the most unsettling part is that these traits are not exclusive to others. Manipulation, control, the desire for power, these exist within all of us to varying degrees. Sometimes, we justify ourselves by thinking we are merely persuading or defending our interests. But at what point does it become manipulation? Maybe when we start distorting reality to get what we want, when we minimize the feelings of others, or when we use guilt and emotional blackmail as tools. The question is, are we aware of it? Do we know when we are crossing the line between influence and manipulation? Would we stop if we recognized it in ourselves? The human mind is complex and at times difficult to decipher. The line between moral and amoral is blurred, and manipulation appears in ways that may be imperceptible at first. It disguises itself as concern, love, friendship, and only with time do we realize that something doesn't quite fit. Maybe in the way someone always makes you feel guilty for setting boundaries, or in how an innocent conversation ends up making you doubt your own perception of reality. At first, everything seems normal, even comforting. It might be a partner who makes you feel special, a boss who seems to trust you more than anyone, a friend who claims to want the best for you. But over time, the dynamic shifts. You feel like you are walking on a tightrope, that any disagreement can escalate into a disproportionate conflict, that your voice starts losing weight in decisions. The most dangerous part, when manipulation is skillful, you don't even realize you have become a piece in a game you never chose to play. But the first step to protecting ourselves is recognizing how it operates, how it hides in the sweetest words and the subtlest gestures, how it seeps into our lives without us noticing, until one day we find ourselves caught in a web we never saw being woven. And once we see it clearly, the inevitable question is, how do we break free? If this topic resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever recognized these traits in someone you know, or even within yourself?